Hey gang, it's Karen here, and I promised you guys I would do a video on refeeds versus cheats. So I'm putting this out today because as we grow in the industry, there's a lot more skewing of different ideas and different expectations, and one of those is in the nourishing of our bodies when it comes to trying to lose weight or stay lean, whatever it happens to be. So the difference between refeeds and cheats is really, really important to understand. So basically what happens is people are using them interchangeably and they're not understanding the difference, and that's fine because we don't expect the general public to understand what they are. They hijack certain terms from us competitors, or they hijack it from websites and stuff like that. But I want you guys to be educated so that when you go out there, you can use it properly, look professional, and educate other people on it. So here's the deal. Cheats, or we can call them free meals or flex meals. Different people call them different things. Those are all kind of the same things. So a cheat meal is basically time off the clock. So it's basically saying, you know, I want to just go out and enjoy a meal. I've been really diligent. I'm going out with family and friends, and so I'm just going to have time off the clock. For those people that are looking and using macros, if your program requires that, or if you're in a pre-contest, usually macros are very important because it's an extreme form of eating, because competition is an extreme sport. And yes, I do consider physique competition sport because we train our asses off, and I don't know of any other sport where you have to train so diligently and cut your calories so much. So you're kind of like burning the candle at both ends. So it's pretty intense stuff. But for the lifestyle athlete that continues to train and compete, it's definitely a sport. So the cheat days, or the flex meals, or the off the chart kinds of days, the free meals, are just time away from counting macros if that's what you're into, or journaling if that's what you're into, or just being so stringent. Or you just might want to say, I just want to eat today. I just want to eat whatever I want. So a lot of people will say, oh, I'm having a cheat meal, when in fact it's not really a cheat meal, they're just eating more. Right? Or they're just indulging. So cheat meals don't really have a lot of credence to us coaches when people say that, because they don't usually know how to use them. They just kind of use them, or I'll see, 19-year-old girls at the gym say, oh, I just went through a crazy leg day, now I've got to have a cheat meal. And they don't quite understand what they're saying. But it really is just basically time off the clock. For a lot of people, it's an excuse to binge or overindulge, and that's fine too. So just know why you're using it. Let's just say I just want to go out and have something. I want to go out and have chicken wings and wine. Okay, that would be a cheat meal too, because it wouldn't be normally how you eat. Now, normally how you eat, if it's well and then you go off, you could call it a cheat meal. A refeed is a tool. It's a very specific tool, and it makes me crazy when people say they're doing a refeed because they don't know what it is. A refeed usually has to be managed by a coach, not a trainer, because a trainer in the gym won't know about it, and they don't know about metabolism to the same extent as a coach who coaches individuals rather than programs on a one-to-one, very intimate basis, where you're there with the client 24/7, no matter where you are. And you can be a very good online coach, distance coach. In fact, this is sometimes even better for the relationship because you can stay objective still. So the refeed is, in my view, is when your body fat is between, say, 14 and maybe tops 20%. Because what happens is, if you're over, say, 20%, or maybe even just 18%, somewhere in there, I mean, there's no hard, fast rules, but it's where your body is at a certain place that you've worked to get it to, and you want to keep it there. So if you still have excess weight to lose, then your body is not at a place where it's drawing in and where you're getting to the edge, and then you have to have a refeed to refuel. So refeeds refuel leptin, and leptin is it's stored in fat cells. So when you lose weight, the fat goes too, and the leptin levels drop, and your hunger increases. Your metabolism slows down to compensate too. We look at all of this in Master Your Metabolism program. But when you refuel leptin, you feel satisfied, you feel satiated, and your body won't continue to slow the metabolism and hoard. But it only happens with a refeed when you're already at low body fat levels. If you're not, what happens is your body signals, I've still got a fair amount of excess body fat here, so I'm not in that drawn in mode where I've been really stringent. All the glycogen is out of my body because my body fat levels are low, and I've been training with weights. You have to be training with weights in order for the refeed to really take place, in order to be able to partition the food you take in one meal. Some people do a day. I wouldn't recommend that for women, especially older women, because I find it's too much. I've done both ways, but it refuels your body and partitions the food you're taking in for that meal into your training, your muscle building, and then not into fat storage. But it requires your body at a certain lean body weight. And so we call that surfing the curve. What that means is, and I learned this in competition, that's where I learned about the beauty of refeeds, because we get so low in body fat. And I'm not talking about like I was around 12% body fat. I'm not talking about you guys walking around 12% body fat, because it's not sustainable. Do not do a show to try to get in shape, honestly, because you'll get out of shape faster when you're done. So it really takes diligence and a long time to learn to read your body and to keep your metabolism strong. And most people don't have it. Now, some of us competitors that have competed for years will learn if we want to stay in the game, because there's nothing worse and harder to the body than going skinny and going big again. So this is all, again, a real study on metabolism that I've had the ability to view over my 4 decades, but 3 decades of competing, but 4 decades of doing this kind of work. So the refeed is a tool, and my girls on my Lean for Life program get to a certain body fat. So there's 2 levels: getting to that lower body fat level, right, through diligent work, through your nutrition and your training, and then getting to a body fat level where you want to stay, which is lean. And then from there, what you do is you go through the week and you eat well, but not overabundantly. You're in slight deficit. So again, in our Master Your Metabolism program, we talk about absolute versus constructive deficit. And so you don't want to go into absolute deficit. You just want a little bit of a deficit. You have to be in a deficit during the week when you're eating, though. And it requires a little bit of hunger, a little bit more between meals. And you read your biofeedback. You got to train with weights. And what it does over the week is it drains your body of glycogen, which is carbohydrates. And you'll see it because near the end of your week, wherever it happens to be, it might be a 7-day week. It might be a week where you have 2 refeeds. I've done that before too, especially coming up to show. I do 2 refeeds for me and a lot of my clients because you're so stringent. But the average lifestyle client at 16 to 18% body fat, usually 1 refeed is good enough. And we're going to do an interview with Sarah Albert, who's on the Lean for Life using the refeeds. And she's doing amazingly well. And it's a lovely lifestyle and she loves it. But it means being stringent during, anywhere from 5 to 7 days, watching your meals. They're pretty consistent. And you're doing your weight training. And then what happens is it's like the balloon slowly deflates. And you kind of know when you need a refeed because your hunger is going a little bit too much and your body's flattening out. And there's other signs as well. And then what you do is you throw in a refeed meal, and that meal is anything you want. And you need protein, you need carbs, you need fats. You need your carbs and fats to double up over your protein. And you're basically eating as you choose to. And then you shut the door. And then your body fills up and your metabolism goes, it's okay, we don't have to slow and stop. Oh no, look, we got all this food. It's good. And the metabolism goes robust. So that's a good way of keeping a robust metabolism and keeping yourself lean while being able to use those surplus calories when you have them in 1 or 2 meals a week towards muscle building. But it really is about the biofeedback. And after you eat and you fill up, the biofeedback should be your body's hot. You might even be sweating. You're going to possibly hold 2 or 3 pounds of water, which you're not concerned about because it's just water. So your urination will slow down, your sleep improves, and your training in the gym goes, whoa, but your metabolism doesn't tank. So this is what the refeed lifestyle is about. This is what I teach in the second part of my Lean for Life programming. So the first part is getting you to a body fat where you're happy. And the second part is going a little bit deeper into the super compensation mode, as we call it, and riding the edge of that and knowing when enough is enough, where you don't want to go over the edge, where you lose strength and you lose metabolism, but you're just on the edge, and then you throw a refeed in there. And then that refeed meal fills you up and energizes your metabolism, keeps it strong and robust and resilient and responsive. And your body continues to, and it will actually drop fat even faster, going, whoa, look at all this food. Okay, I'm not used to this food. Let's get rid of these calories. So it really is a tool, but most people can't do it alone. And most people don't have the objectivity to do it on themselves. And there's very few coaches that will be able to teach this kind of thing, because it really is about learning about metabolism and having experienced it yourself. So that's the difference between a cheat and a refeed. So a cheat is just kind of like taking time off the clock. Let's get out of this, let's go have a meal. Let's go have some chicken wings and wine. And but a refeed is something that's very specific. You read the biofeedback going in, and as you start to feel certain things and your performance starts to edge a little bit, and your body fat is below 20%, that's a must. Then you refuel, and then you listen to the signs and recognize what your body needs for a refeed. Some people might need 300 grams of carbs, which is insane. Some people are fine at 150. Some people, I need more fat. I consume the fat like crazy, and my carbs are pretty moderate, around maybe, I don't know, I could eat upwards of 100 grams in a meal, in my refeed meal, which is like 400 calories in carbs alone, and my fats are just as high. My protein, you want it in there just to blunt the effects of the carbs and fats, but it's not necessary. So you're manipulating carbs and fats in a refeed as well. You start to come to know where that body's tolerance is for what it needs. So that's the difference. And some people want to just lose the weight, and they're okay staying at 25 or 27% body fat, and that's cool for them. But they won't be able to get into a lower body mass index. They won't be able to get into the leaner aspect, lower body fat, where they get into the super compensation mode, where the body can ride that edge before it falls off, and you use the refeed, and it acts as a tool where you can partition. It doesn't get there unless you have the lower body fat. So that's what I work with clients, and Sarah's a prime example of it. We got her from about 27% body fat down to about, I think it was 14% for show, and I think it was like 20 or 25 pounds she lost. And then I said to her, hey, do you want to try the Lean for Life, where you don't have to wing back up? And it's not just about keeping your weight low. It's got to be your body fat has to stay, but it's a certain way of eating. But it's not for everybody, because you have to be disciplined. And you can't have little treats in the week. You can't have a little piece of chocolate or a little glass of wine off, because your refeeds, 1 or 2 a week is what I usually recommend, are the tools. And the tools don't work if you blunt them with little cheats along the way. So you can't nibble on stuff in the kitchen. It really is about having defined meals and having your training. And then what happens is, the refeed is coming, and you get to eat whatever you want. And so you're on track, because you know it's coming, and the compliance then is easier, and you look forward to it. And when I was pre-contest, and I got down from 130 down to 114 pounds or something, and I was able to stay there in between shows, and I remember thinking, why don't I just live like this? And this was before people were talking about refeeds. This was before people were talking about the cycle diet or anything. And I'm like, I like this. I like this because I can stay stringent and a little bit underfed, but I'm still powered in the gym, and my metabolism is still strong, but it might be wavering a bit. And then I could gauge, for me it was every 3 to 4 days was when I needed a refeed. And I could feel it in my body. And then when I refed, then my body continued to build lean muscle and continued to drop the fat, and the fat stayed off easy, because I was in super compensation mode and I was using the refeeds and listening to the biofeedback in my body. And it's a lovely way to live. And that's where I'm headed again. I'm at about 19% body fat. So I've got to tighten it up a little bit more because I can't have a glass of wine here and I can't have treats there because it's not a true, it's not the true metabolic compensation system happening because there's little bits coming in. So the metabolism is kind of like, ooh, all over the place. And the feedings are all over the place right now because of the time of year. So once I'm through that, then it will be back to the Lean for Life metabolic enhancement program where we use the refeeds as we dip into supercompensation and we use the power of that state of the body. I hope that makes sense. It's a little bit convoluted way of trying to teach you guys as a coach what I do in coaching women who are of a certain mindset and of a certain goal. And my goal is to live like this. I love living like this, but I'm diligent and dedicated and committed through the week. And my meals are pretty committed. And you have to have that mindset. If all you want to do is use cheats as a way of life, then it's not true metabolic compensation system. It's not true refeeds. It really is just like you're dieting for so long and then you just kind of go out and have whatever you want. It's different. So just know the difference when you're out there in the gyms. And if anybody considers trying to do the Lean for Life metabolism program where I take you into the world of refeeds to maintain a lean body lean body fat, I will do that. But I do have to, sit down and question you and find out if you have the mental acumen to do it, because it does require a certain desire and it requires a certain sense of self-discipline and commitment, really. And living with cheats is not really a commitment. It's way looser. So, and the results aren't nearly as defined. So I hope that makes sense, guys. Maybe not. But when I do the interview with Sarah, I'm going to add it onto the end of this video, and you'll be able to understand how she does it day to day, week to week. And she's been doing it, for, just trying to think, 6 months, and loving it. And you have to love it and you have to want it. So the refeeds and we call it the cycle diet is a lovely way to live if you want to live off the grid, outside of norm, and really see your body change and shift and stay lean and strong and get leaner and stronger with weekly refeeds on the cycle diet. All right. Ciao, guys. Bye. Be well.